Well, welcome everybody to the Athletics Data for Hope 2021 hackathon on affordable housing. Hooray! I know it is Saturday afternoon in Atlanta and it's rainy in some areas, and you probably want to like just dig in and get started. And John Tardy, who's right here with me on this side on my screen, is going to talk through all the details and everything. I just am here to welcome you and thank you for your service to the community.
Great. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll start into our presentation. Great. Well, thank you all again for being here for ATLytics Data for Hope 2021. So the agenda for today, we're going to do a little review, a little introduction into athletics, and then talk about affordable housing 101. So a little education just to help get you kind of ramped up to speed to make a difference in this area. And we're going to jump into details around the hackathon and cover all the details and then allow you to ask questions at the end. Okay. So Beverly touched on this a little bit, but ATLytics really is an organization that is founded on the idea of bringing the analytics community together and using data for social good. And we do that in a number of different ways. We do have custom projects where we work directly with individual nonprofit organizations on specific data questions that they have. We also have community events and speaking engagements. And then, of course, these Data for Hope events like this one, we've been doing these since 2018. So thank you all for participating in this event. And we'd love for you to learn more about the organization and get involved. So our board of directors, as you can see, very passionate about our vision and mission for ATLytics. They are prominent in the analytics community in Atlanta and really work tirelessly to continue to look for more ways for us to make impact in the community. Our hackathon team, I'm really grateful for everyone that has participated in putting together this event. Husafa is going to talk with us a little later. Was our lead on the data side of things and helping to put the challenge together. Mary Pat has just done it all. She has worked on marketing. She has worked through all the different kinds of logistics that we have to put on this event. I could not have done this without them, and I'm grateful for their involvement. Okay, so our team selected this topic around affordable housing. Why? Just really quickly, we saw as we were looking for a topic for this event, we saw that this is a real challenge here in Atlanta and in cities across the United States. We saw that the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms, really called it out as one of her top priorities. And we saw this as an area where there's a lot of data, there are challenges, and an area that we can really make a difference. And this is a little overview of our event here, the ATLytics Data for Hope 2021. The challenge is a data exploration of affordable housing in Atlanta. Why participate? So, I think Beverly touched on some of these, this opportunity to use your professional skills for good. It's a way to help the community. It's also an opportunity for team building. You're going to learn about affordable housing and how we can make an impact to the community, different ways to explore data insights and, gain real experience. This is going to be a real life type of event. So there's going to be great, professional skills that you're going to be able to put to use here. And there's an opportunity to connect with industry leaders and hiring managers in this space as well. We are offering prizes for this competition. There's $5,000 in prizes. There's $3,000 for first place and $2,000 for second place. And we'll talk through the details of the competition itself in a few minutes. Okay, so just a little review of our schedule of events. We kicked off the hackathon this morning, 8 o'clock. An email went out that had all the details, including this deck. And then we're having our kickoff call right now. On Wednesday, we have a spectacular opportunity. We've been invited to be able to participate in this. The Atlanta City Design Housing Panel is a public forum, and just happens to work out perfectly within the scope of our hackathon. So this is an opportunity really to join into that call, hear about what really is going on in this space, and gain some insights that may impact how you look at the data and how you go about your analysis. So if you are going to attend that, and I did send out an invite on that, you do need to register specifically for that event. So look for that link that's in the invite that I sent and make sure you register. And then directly after that, we are going to do a Q&A session. So this is something that we were going to do just to give you an opportunity, another live session like this, to ask questions about the hackathon. And it's going to be neat to have that directly after the Atlanta City Design discussion as well. And then finally, the submission deadline for the hackathon is next Saturday, June 26th at 6 p.m. Okay, and we're going to be handling judging after that point, and the winners will be announced prior to July 1st. Okay, so a little basics just to help you to get started here. Some definitions. So affordable housing. The Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, considers housing, they define housing that is affordable to be housing costs that total no more than 30% of gross income. Okay, so that's going to be a key fact as you go through this data. If it's not affordable, then it's cost burdened, and they do talk about different levels. So between 30 and 50% of gross income is moderately cost burdened, and households that exceed 50% are severely cost burdened, right? So, you know, something that I think it really goes, Beverly touched on this point, you know, the housing, stable housing is such a foundational societal issue, right? And so when you don't have stable housing, that causes other issues, right? And particularly, you know, households that are spending more than, you know, the affordable level of their income on housing are going to be burdened in other areas, right? So there's other life essentials that they're going to be squeezed on, the food, for example, right, and other necessities of life. So that's why it's such an important topic. A couple of other definitions. AMI is the area median income. So this is where we look at a geographic area and determine the median income. So this is often used in affordability calculations for geography. And low income is a household that is making less than 80% of the AMI in that area. Okay, and just kind of to you know, bring home this point of this relationship between affordability and income, right? When we talk about affordable housing, it's not you know, not one size fits all. What is affordable to one person or one family group is not affordable to another family group. And so this is a key thing as you're looking at the data and you're looking to do this analysis to understand this point. So here we have a graphic that came from the One Atlanta Affordability Action Plan that talks about, you know, different scenarios here: a retiree, a service worker, you know, a family of four, etc. That they can have different household incomes, which are going to be different percents of the AMI, the area median income, and so different affordability levels for that as well. Okay. I did include in the deck here a number of different resources. So organizations have been grateful for all of the different organizations that have participated in our planning and are going to be involved in different ways throughout this hackathon event. We've got, I know that we have Carolina. Carolina is with the City of Atlanta Office of Housing and Community Development. Carolina, do you want to say a few words for us?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Like John said, I'm Carolina Rodriguez with Office of Housing and Community Development. You can also pronounce it Carolina. I go by both. I grew up in South Carolina, so bilingual, bicultural. I'm sure some of you know what I mean. And I've been with the city a little over a year. I'm a city planner by trade. I have, like many of you all, certain lived experiences with family and housing, affordability, stability, travel. And so I'm excited to be here with y'all today to support this incredible work and value that you're bringing to the housing conversation. So thanks for inviting me, John.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for all your support and guidance in getting us to this point as well. Really appreciate it. Okay, I don't know if we have anybody from any of the other groups. We have Atlanta Housing, the Atlanta Regional Commission, Neighborhood Nexus, and a number of participants from Hope Atlanta. Is there anyone else on the call that would like to speak?
Hi, John. Hi, John. Hello, everyone. This is Vincent Taylor. I'm with Atlanta Housing. I've been with Atlanta Housing about 3 years now, and I've been in the affordable housing industry or working with public housing authorities for about 15 years. I do a lot with policy. Atlanta Housing, for those on the call that do not know, is a MTW agency that's moving to work. And moving to work gives 39 unique agencies across the nation the flexibility to be more creative and innovative with coming up with housing solutions. I probably should have turned on my video. I apologize. It's Saturday. It allows us to come up with creative solutions, housing solutions. So we're able to use our designation, our MTW designation, to modify HUD rules and regulations to try to get out of the bureaucratic red tape, to try to navigate these housing solutions faster, more efficient and effective. And that's what we are. So we have a opportunity to operate more as a property real estate development company or private property management company compared to Macon or Savannah or any other conventional housing authority. So we're doing our part to address that problem as much as we can. And thank you for having us.
Thank you, Vincent. Thank you for being here. All right. Okay, I've cited a few publications that we've come across here that you might want to browse in your research as well. Again, just resources, and also it's always good to know what has been done before. And so here's a number of different resources that look at different dashboards and different analyses that have been done as well in the past. Okay, so I want to get into the hackathon challenge. Beverly, do you see that I'm actually recording?
Yes, it shows that you are.
Okay. I'm not seeing that on my screen, so I wanted to make sure. Thank you. Okay, so our challenge. The challenge is, we call it a data exploration. This is very much a real life data event here. It's an exploration of affordable housing data in Atlanta. These are real data sets that are public, that others that are focused in this space are using. So we're looking for you to use your skills to develop actionable insights towards social good here. And in selecting a direction for your exploration here, we have a number of different prompts. You can answer one or more of these questions, or you can develop your own. One of the key things, and we'll hit on it again in your presentation, you need to be clear on what question you set out to answer, right? So housing diversity, we touched on a little bit of this in the 101 session. Housing affordability is dependent on income level, right? We talked about the 30% of monthly income. So, comparing the diversity of housing affordability in different areas. In other words, what range of incomes, what range of occupations is a particular area affordable for? Who can and cannot afford to live in a given area? So what about, people that provide essential services, right? Think, police, fire, et cetera. What about the next generation? So think about the different populations and what the diversity of affordability in a particular area, what that really means to the community. Then why does it matter, right? So, what's the correlation between these the housing affordability and other societal issues? We touched on that. Beverly, told a very poignant story around this as well. So, perceptions are powerful. There are some myths out there around affordable housing. Myths that say, well, if we allow for lower cost housing, that crime is going to increase, or if we allow for lower cost housing, that property values are going to be hurt. They're going to be decreased as well. So, looking at the data and trying to bust those kinds of myths is another approach. How does it happen? There's different ways that affordable housing comes to play. They can either happen naturally, right, where just the market allows for that, and other times we need to dedicate affordable housing by policy. So how is it happening in a particular area? And what are the trends? How do things, what's the trend over time? What do we predict for the future? Okay, submissions. So entries must be received by 6 p.m. on Saturday, June 26th. So that's a hard deadline to be eligible for the judging and for the prizes. The way that you're going to do your submission is that eligible teams are going to receive an email from me on Monday. And that is going to be, I'm going to be reviewing the list of registrations. If the team is eligible, you'll receive an email from me. And all you need to do is reply to that email with your official submission before the deadline. And that submission is going to include the following things. Video presentation. So you're going to create a video of yourself presenting a slide deck that you create, not to exceed 7 minutes in length for your video. And they must be saved to YouTube. They should be unlisted so that since this is a competition, you're not sharing your video with others at this time. And then it must be viewable by anyone with the link. So when I get the link, I have to be able to see the video, okay? And then also attach your slide deck that you're presenting in the video and any source code, relevant work products towards your work. You do not have to send back, all the data, which might make for a very large file, but definitely, any work products, source code that allow us to understand how you went about your analysis. So judging. The judges are primarily going to be viewing your video. So you've got 7 minutes to tell your story. And we're going to be looking at the other materials as needed to answer questions, to clarify things. So we're going to be looking, as I said, this is a very real life type of event here. So, in real life, whether it be in, business, government, nonprofit, there's a number of different elements that really are key to your success in data analytics and data science. And those are these areas here. So framing, you got to be clear on the question that you're trying to answer. That's number one. Data preparation. you're going to be working with a variety of different data sources. So, how you deal with those sources, how you select them, how you clean them, how you engineer the data. You may run into some limitations around the data. And, what limitations did you run into? How did you explore ways to overcome those things? Your analysis. So did you, follow best practices around your data analysis and data science? Innovation. So, how creative were you in your solution? What was the level of complexity involved there? Communication. Really important that you're able to tell your story. So in this video, in your slide deck, ensuring that you are able to communicate your story, the information, the approach that you took in a consumable manner. And then insights. In the end, what kind of impact could you potentially have with this analysis? What kind of proposed actions might you have that come out of this? Okay. So a few little tips and reminders. So make sure you clearly communicate the question you're working to answer. That is number one. Cite all data sources. So they must be public data sources. We'll touch on that a little bit later again, but you must cite your sources. And you have 7 minutes, right? So describe the tools, the approaches that you used. You do not have to sort of review all of the possibilities, right? You don't have to, it's not data science 101, like here's all the different kind of models that I potentially could have created. Focus your time on the path that you chose, why you chose it, and how you went about that particular approach. The same thing with, as far as the topic of affordable housing, right? You could spend that entire time just sort of educating on the topic. In this case, you can sort of assume the baseline that I've presented here, call out anything specific that you used in your analysis that's needed to understand how you took, what your approach was. Okay, this is just a reiteration of the rules that have been published elsewhere. Your work needs to be original, so make sure that you meet all the submission deadlines. The data can be augmented, but only by open sources. So it's got to be a source that we can review, and you must cite your data sources. Teams can have 2 to 4 members, and at this point, that since we've started the hackathon, you can no longer change teams. The teams should not collaborate with each other. We already talked about the submission details. No paid consulting, advice, suggestions, coaching from any other resources. The judges do have the option to disqualify competitors if we think there's any kind of unsportsmanlike conduct, any ethical concerns, etc. And winning prize money will be distributed equally to each of the team members that are on the official registration. Okay, and with that, we'll get into the data sources, and I'm going to pass off to Husafa.
John?
Yes.
Can we ask a few questions of what you've covered so far?
Sure.
Okay, so I think you've answered a lot of them, but the first one is around the video, just to be absolutely clear. The video submission, can you describe that better? Is it supposed to be a publicly available YouTube video or only available to you, or what's that going to look like?
So the YouTube video, so it needs to be on YouTube. You're going to send the link. When you upload the video, you're going to set it to unlisted. So it doesn't need to be public, but it needs to be viewable by anyone with the link.
Okay, so all right, good. Viewable by anyone with the link. So then you post it as unlisted. Great.
Correct.
And nobody asked this question, but I want to make sure they understand that they're not supposed to do more than one business question, right? So if someone wanted to submit 2 projects for a greater chance of winning, could they do that? Or are they only eligible to do one?
We didn't restrict on the question, so there may be some natural combinations that they do. So as long as they're clear on what questions they set out to answer.
Would that count as two separate submissions? So if they had...
No, it's one submission.
Yeah. Okay. So
each team can only make one submission.
Okay, so you can't submit 4 projects even though there are 4 business questions.
No, thank you for asking that question.
Okay, so just one per team.
One submission per registered team.
Okay, great. And then the augmented data, we just have to, or they just have to provide the citation. And then the other question was, do they absolutely need to use the core data set that's provided, or can they completely use different data?
We said that they can, so right here it says you may use any publicly available data, but you have to cite your sources.
Right, so they don't have to use anything that's suggested at all.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I think that's, oh, should the submission video include all team members or matter? Like if one person from the team wants to make the video, is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, John, this is Shashank over here. I had a quick question.
Hi, sure.
Yeah, so one of the things, at least the way the Porsche Clean Air Hackathon was conducted is it was a stepwise progression, right? So only teams that could articulate a business question correctly were allowed to move on to phase 2. So there were 2 phases. One is submitting your business question that you have framed, and only teams that were that had a well-articulated business question would be then approved to do the actual data analytics work. There isn't any such thing in this hackathon, I presume, at least based on what I've heard thus far.
That's correct. It's one round.
Thank you.
So you need to incorporate in the the slide deck, your video presentation, your framing of the business question.
And also one more thing I couldn't help notice, the ATLytics domain is athletics.org and not .com. So I think that's how you have your email address listed on one of the slides before.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Hisafa, you want to take over here?
Yeah, John, there's another question, or do we want to answer that, or we can?
I think it's just the 7 minutes. I was going to answer it in the chat, but as long as it's 7 minutes, I don't think there's a limit to the number of slides, because having lots of slides in the appendix is usually a good idea. Is that right, team?
Right. So I didn't see the question, but it's about the number of slides.
Yes, it's.
Yeah, we didn't specify a limit on the number of slides. You have 7 minutes. Yep. Okay. Husafa, do you want to share?
I can talk over this.
You just want to talk? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, and then maybe I can share later on if people have questions for this around this data set. So, hi everyone, Josefa here. So, I want to talk to you about the data sets that we have researched and are providing like as part of this competition. Again, these are all publicly available data sets. So, you're not limited to using these data sets. You can use whatever you feel like using, which is useful for you. But these are the ones that from our research that we found out that what people like who are trying to solve for data, this affordable housing challenge in Atlanta, what data sets they are using. So we have listed the core data sets that community uses. So the first data set that we have here is the ACS data. This is the Census Bureau's American Community Survey. So US Census Bureau conducts these surveys every year for about 3.5 million. I think they have about 3.5 million users who participate in this survey. But this is a data that's used, I would say this is like the core data. Like if you want to understand the community, if you want to understand a particular census group, what it contains information from, the housing, like what types of education people have, the income, language proficiency, migration, disability, housing characteristics, employment. Essentially, this will have everything. It's big data file, like each of these. So we have I think we are providing about 5 years of this data until 2019. Census Bureau did not publish it 2020. I think they're going to publish it this year. It's going to be the real census data. But right now, this is the data that's available. Each of these files right now is a zip format. It's 1 GB each. Once you extract this, each file will become up to 5 GB. And I'll go over this maybe a little bit detail if people have any questions on that. So that this is I think this is the core data set essentially that you can find all the information related to a community from this data set. The second data set that we have is the HMDA data set. So the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act requires many financial institutions to report and maintain the publicly available loan level information about mortgages. This data set, actually HMDA, is used by a lot of lenders for the housing needs. So they do use this data set, and they give public officials that help them make decisions and policies. So this HMDA data set is essentially one file, and we have this one file available again in the link if you click on that ATLytics Google Drive link. The third data set that we have is the National Housing Preservation Database. This was created actually by Public and Affordable Housing Research Corporation and National Low Income Housing Coalition. This provides information to see, need effectively preserve their stock of public and affordable housing to different communities. This data set contains information on federally assisted housing inventory across the US. So for example, like if you want to find out, in one particular county or area that you want to focus on, how many publicly funding resources are available for those houses in that area, you can use this data. The fourth data set that we have is the American Housing Survey. So this is a survey conducted by the HUD, so Department of Housing and Urban Development, and this contains all the information related to a particular house, essentially, and questions around that, property would be there in it. So this would complement the AHS data a little bit, but ACS data will again have a lot of this information as well. The last data set that we have is the Atlanta Region Housing Strategy data set. So the Atlanta Regional Commission, what they had done in the past was when they were trying to solve for affordable housing, they have divided the Atlanta market into top 10 sub areas, and each sub area has they have divided that based on same characteristic, income level, and all those things, and they are addressing this problem by focusing on one of those sub markets. So this is we wanted to provide this data set so that you have an idea about if you want to align your efforts with Atlanta regional commissions, their mapping, then you can use that. So, but you don't have to use it again. It's an optional thing, but it's an useful data set. Now, so that's about the data sets. I can go a little bit deeper into these data sets, but first I want to see if there are any questions.
Yeah, Josefa, this is Shashank here. Since homelessness, in a sense, is what we are trying to solve, you may have mentioned this, but do any of these data sets specifically indicate where the homelessness is the most prevalent within the broader metro Atlanta area?
I don't know. So first, affordable housing, the problem that we are trying to solve is for people who cannot afford to live, who used to live in communities and now they cannot afford a house there. Mm-hmm. So that's the question. So ACS might still have that information to give you an idea about how much homelessness exists in that area. But I'm not sure if that is we did not look for that information specifically.
That's okay. Yeah, thank you though. Thank you very much.
Right. So I would say that homelessness would be one of the societal issues that can be linked to affordable housing.
So I wanted to share, John, can I maybe share my screen since I don't?
Yes.
Another thing I wanted to share was, so, all these data sets that you just saw, and, they're all like raw data that are available. However, there is Neighborhood Nexus actually creates this, they have created this data explorer. So all of that data that you saw, they have this data here. Like, so they have the regional commissions data, ARC's data. They have even more data, elementary school, cities, Georgia House of Districts data. And one of the things that you can do is use this tool to extract the data that you need. So if you don't want to have the hassle of going through the raw data for your for your numbers, then you have the option of coming to this tool, and I think we are providing the link of this in the in the materials as well. But you can,
yeah.
Right.
Neighborhood Nexus is one of the links on the resources. Yeah.
Okay. So you can also get that data, all of that data here. So this is one thing that I wanted to show everyone. This tool is a really a good tool. It's a little bit tough to use, but if you want to avoid the hassle of just mining the data from those data sets, you can directly come here. The other thing I wanted to show was this is the Metro Atlanta housing and the sub 10 markets that I'm talking about. So this is how the Atlanta region has divided the Atlanta submarkets into. So so you have the sub market 1, which is so you can play around with this. So this is mostly urban area. This is the area where you have a lot of expensive houses available, and you have all these definitions as well. I think somewhere here. Let me just go back. And then I think here they have the submarkets. Sorry. So you can find that information here. Submarket 1, this is the core neighborhood with mostly higher priced homes and higher than average rents, consisting of a mix of mostly older single family homes and both older and newer family multi-family housing. And so all of these submarkets, each of these submarkets, they have divided based on the question of affordable housing. So hence I wanted to show these data sets to everyone. So for example, submarket 6 is also this is their medium house, this is the median year build, and these are some of their challenges. And then the submarket 10 is the one which is this is the one where newer houses are getting. I think submarket 9 is the one with lower priced rural areas as well. So the point was just, you have, I found this one to be Metro Atlanta housing strategy to be very helpful in navigating, while researching on how to think about affordable housing. So wanted to share this with you all.
Safa, one of the questions that has come up is how current is the data? Does it usually go up to the current year?
Yeah, so the ACS data is until 2019. The HMDA data and the other data, the preservation database, the affordable housing data, that's the latest data. So you can have we are providing all properties in there, and also as well as the previous properties which used to come under those specific programs.
Thank you.
So that's about it. And another thing I wanted to maybe talk about was so you can one of the things that helped me navigate these data sources was just their understanding about those data sets. So if you click on those links, each of them provides a user guide and gives you an understanding of what that data is. So what I would if you want to use any of those data sets, just make sure you go to that website and understand what data is before you start using it.
Another question that came up is whether the research should stay within Fulton County or if they should look beyond that.
So I think, no, it can go beyond Fulton County as well. So this is the Metro Atlanta's housing strategy covers markets, all other counties as well, Cobb, Fulton. And so, for example, if I see here, you have Decatur and everything included. So basically the challenge covers all of Atlanta metro region area.
Okay, so the hackathon specifically, I know what we're looking at covers that, but they're asking about the hackathon for the project and their analysis. We want to define that as Atlanta metropolitan area. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And Husafa, you've looked at a lot of data in preparing for this event. I think we put together the list of data sources as an aid, really, to help navigate this. We talk about this being a very real life kind of event. Part of that is really to select your data sources, right, and to go through that. So in order to help, ramp up, that's really where, Husafa, your list came up. Do you actually want to show? I don't think you called out the Google Drive yet.
Yeah.
So as part of that, the data sources that Husafa called out, there's a link in that slide that says we've collected these data sources here on the Google Drive, just to make it a little easier to get to and download should you choose to go in those directions.
Yes. And we have attached like the field descriptions and things like that will help you navigate these data sets as well. You can all these data sets that we have listed here, these are where the data sets that are being used by lots of different organizations to solve this specific problem. And so each of these are curated, so we are trying not to provide anything which is not something that people are not using. And again, data dictionaries are available for each of these, and you can go through them to understand what each of it means. Yeah, but this is the drive, and you can download these data sets from this drive here.
Right. And so you provided the descriptions for each of these data sets, and then these data dictionaries, really to help everyone, try to determine which data you want to go after, right? How you want to structure your analysis so that you don't have to download all the data, right? Because it'll take a little while to try and get all that data down onto your machine. But by utilizing the information that Husafa has put into this drive, you can navigate these data dictionaries and try to figure out which data sets you want to use for your analysis. Great.
So this is just an example of that, what John was talking about. So for example, for this NHPD database, it collects all the data from all these different other data sources, and it combines that data. So we are providing that data essentially. And then, you have the data dictionaries as well available for these, that talks about what each of the variable means and all the details that are required for you to navigate.
Great. Beverly, do you have a few tips for us?
I do. Husafa, that was great. Thank you so much for going over that. Just a few really quick tips, and then John, I'm assuming that you're going to wrap by talking to us about what the next steps are and exactly what they need to do to be prepared to dive in. So a couple of tips. I've run about a dozen hackathons, either private ones or for ATLytics or for the schools, and there are some things that I blocks for teams that I want to alert you of so that you don't run into kind of issues and you can really move fast and get going on this. Number one, come up with a schedule or a strategy or a plan of some type for communicating with your team. If you have daily check-ins or semi-daily check-ins or bi-daily check-ins, it is, go ahead and put it on the calendar. And if you need it, great. If you end up not needing it, that's okay. You can skip. but come up with some kind of cadence for communication, so that you don't have to worry about when are we going to end every time you talk. You don't have a lot of time. Second is, I'm not quite sure what to tell you what to do on this one, but I can tell you what not to do. Groups have tried to piece, like, I'll do this part and you do that part, and I'll do this part and you do that part. And it looks like Frankenstein at the end. It just doesn't work. Plus, many of these things are sort of sequential, and it's like, if you weren't involved in the data cleaning, are you really going to be able to analyze it well? And so they sort of build on each other, and you do this and me do this and this, and we'll shove it together and create this Frankenstein and put it in front of them. It usually looks like Frankenstein, and you don't learn from the different phases. So that's suggestion number 2, is find a way to actually work together. And that may mean sitting in front of the laptops together concurrently and screen sharing quite a bit. So keep that in mind as well. Suggestion number 3, there are a lot of very intriguing business questions to choose. Don't spend forever going through that process. Find something that appeals to you, something that draws your attention, something that you're really going to be into. And that's probably going to be more important than like, oh, well, this is going to impress the judges. So don't spend forever trying to come up with, here's what business question we're going to do. Just pick one, pick a good business question and move forward. And even if not everybody on your team agrees, disagree and commit, but focus on a single business question and really hone in on that. And if you need to be old school like me and like handwrite it and tape it to your laptop, I don't care what you have to do. Remember, this is the next tip, is remember that everything you do should be focused on eventually answering that business question. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen submissions that don't even answer the business question. They're just exploring the data. So don't let the data lead you. Let the business question that you chose guide your direction. Okay. Let's see. I had one more. Oh, right. John, your rubric for judging. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to state it rhetorically, and I want you to answer it anyway. Is it better for teams to do something really cool and creative and innovative, or to do something more practical, even if it's simpler, that actually addresses the business question more?
Definitely the latter. So, I think, something that answers the question, right, and makes an impact is the critical aspect here, right? So this is all, I think you did such a beautiful job at the beginning of this session, setting the tone of, we're here to make a difference.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the guide, that's the driver.
Okay, so answer the question, create value in what you produce, do something that will give a benefit in some way toward the affordable housing issues that we have. It's going to be easy to do this, so please listen. Don't get carried away with, I want to create some cool thing in some new way, and they're going to be impressed that I'm using neural nets. So don't fall into that trap of trying to make it the most innovative, cool thing ever, when you could answer the business question maybe more easily.
Great point.
That's my tips and suggestions for.
Thank you so much. And I know we are short on time, but does anybody have any last questions here before we wrap up?
What are the judging criteria that you're going to use?
So I did review that. There was a slide there for the judging criteria. Should I review that again?
No, it's okay. I mean, any additional than the ones that you didn't mention?
No.
Oh, John, I would like for you to review it once more if no one's in a rush to leave.
Okay, I do have the judging criteria up on this. I'm sharing the screen now.
Thank you.
It's in the deck.
And you are sending out all this material?
I've already sent this out.
Oh, great.
So everybody has this.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
The kickoff email that went out this morning includes this deck that we just reviewed.
And just to confirm, we can use any programming language. So if you want to Python, R, SAS it up, whatever you want to do, right, John?
Correct. Yeah. Just tell us what you used, provide the work products. Good questions. Any other questions?
Congratulations, John, and thank you for all your hard work. And good luck to everybody in ATLytics Data for Hope 2021.
Yes, thank you all. We will continue to monitor for any questions. We'll watch the group me as well as email. And so feel free to ask questions. If we do provide any information, we'll make sure that we share that with everyone. And the next scheduled event will be midweek on Wednesday. Like I said, the opportunity to join in the conversation with the Atlanta City Design Housing. And then our Q&A session that is scheduled on Wednesday. So as you have been working through this, as you're coming up with questions, that'll be another live session on Zoom for us to do that. And then next Saturday, the 26th, 6 p.m. is the submission deadline. All right. Thank you all.
Bye, John.
Thank you. Everyone take care. Bye.